Good morning. My name's Corey Carlson. I'm the Planning Operations Trainee for Southwest Team 3. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on the fire, the plan for today. So branch 1 and 2. Branch 1 starts here, goes to there. Branch 2 starts here and goes to there. So that incorporates the majority of the main fire. And what's going to happen today is, yesterday was a shadow day with the Rocky Mountain team. So today, the fire, we've taken over the fire, and what's going to happen first and foremost today is the division group supervisors and the branch directors, they're going to make sure that all the resources that have been out there are accounted for. They want to double check communications. Communications has been pretty tricky around the fire. Establish communications, make sure everyone's accounted for, make sure everyone has the correct frequencies and can talk to each other. And then once we do that, we're going to just validate the plan that we have going forward. And really the plan at this point, with the snow and the weather that we've gotten, we're going to go on the offensive, and we want to go as direct as possible on this fire edge and try to minimize any more expansion of the footprint of this fire. So in branch 1 and branch 2, direct as possible and try to limit fire spread. So what that means on the ground is there's still a lot of snow out here. There's some of this stuff we don't even know where the fire edge is. So in areas where we don't know where the fire edge is, we're going to have to continue to wait for the snow to melt before we can get in there. We don't want to do a lot of work that we're going to have to do a second time. So the good thing is there is areas in here that the snow has melted, and we're shifting the bulk of our resources to those areas where the snow is melted, and we're going to get to work. We're calling it like a surge. We're going to put all our eggs in one basket and use all our resources to get as much of this work done as possible. So as these other areas, as the snow melts, we'll shift everything over and start going direct. This piece, we call it the thumb. That's the way I'll refer to it, but it's a little more challenging. So there is heat showing up there as of yesterday, and we don't expect much movement on that stuff, but it's still something to be concerned about because the terrain, the topography isn't as favorable to go direct. So we're going to be looking at going as direct as possible, which may not be right on the fire edge, but then there's going to be areas where we're going to have to go a little bit indirect and tie into some existing features, some control lines that aren't completely in yet, that didn't get done before the snowstorm. So this is a pretty critical piece to finish and to figure out, but people are working there and there. Additionally, in the Crystal Lake subdivision, Red Feather and Glacier View, there's a lot of structure protection that was going on prior to this fire making its big run. That work's going to continue, as well as some contingency lines in here. This map's pretty busy with a lot of numbers and stuff on there. But there is a contingency line in here that's being worked with heavy equipment, and they're continuing to put that in and continuing to do structure protection implementation there. Down in branch 3, which is here, down to here, it mainly includes Rocky Mountain National Park, Estes Park, Grand Lake, Glen Haven, the Retreat, Storm Mountain, Cedar Park, all this stuff, and some other communities. All this stuff is pretty accessible in Estes Park. Some of this stuff still is a little bit inaccessible. We're working on getting some UTVs to get up into some of these areas. The park itself is pretty snowed in. They had 5 to 6 foot snow drifts in some areas, so that's going to be a little challenging to get in there. The good thing is the fire where it's poked out into the park, it doesn't have a lot of room to move. There is snow in there still, so that's good. That'll give our folks time to deal with Estes Park. The fire chief of Estes Park, he's embedded with our team. He's working hand in hand with our branch director and our divisions, and they're out there in the park. They're assessing structures and coming up with a plan for Estes Park and the Estes Valley. Some of these other communities that are a little bit harder to get to, it'll be the same concept. As snow melts and we can get into some of these areas, we're going to send all our resources in there and do assessments, figure out what equipment we're going to need to implement if we needed to. And then as snow melts, we'll surge and go to the next location. So I guess the goal for today is we're going to go on the offensive. The sun is shining, the snow is going to start melting, and we want to get rid of this thing. We want to make sure that this fire doesn't move anymore, and that we can start closing the gaps on this stuff and put an end to this thing. So with that, thank you, and end of report.